Hey, everybody, it's your buddy, Pete, the host and executive producer of Your Break It Down show. I am so excited to do this introduction for this episode. I was so tickled when John Davidson said yes to coming on the show. Yes, he's incredible. That's incredible. All of those things. At 80 years old, this guy is still a bundle of energy and positivity and smiles and fantastic hair. He's hosted, and for some of the younger folks, this may not make as much sense, but you will get there, I think. He's guest hosted the Johnny Carson show almost 100 times. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen anymore, but when this was going on in the late 70s, early 80s, it was no bigger show on TV. 10 million people? Come on, easy. I mean, every night, everybody watched Johnny Carson. It's as if there was nothing else on. I mean, there weren't 500 channels and all the things we have now. It was Johnny Carson, and it was so culturally important. And so to get that job and to do that, it's the ultimate nod for John to be able to say, you know, I can do this job, and they want him to do it. And then Johnny to give the reins of his show over to John Davidson. It's just incredible. But he's been incredible in so many other ways. He's a fantastic songwriter. He's just a ball of energy. And if you guys are ever up in Sandwich, New Hampshire, you got to go to Club Sandwich. That's where John plays, and they're playing out live again now. He's got this club ready to go. And so, and it's not that far from Boston. So if you're a Boston person, get up to Club Sandwich and go check out John Davidson. I promise you will love this guy. He is so much fun. He's got so much energy. John Leon Guerrero and I got together, had him on. We actually had him on in Mexico, but they had 100 technical glitches, and it didn't happen. So we had him again, and I just can't wait to get him on one more time because he's just such a fantastic guy. Anyhow, you're going to hear us talk about music and life and everything else. That's incredible, and a whole bunch of other things. We pull out some pretty funny names from the That's Incredible days, but you're going to love him. He's a host. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's a wonderful dude. It's John Davidson. One more thing to say to you. Save the Brave, savethebrave.org. Go to the donate tab, click on it, put a little bit of money in. Each month, that will help us. And I'm telling you right now, we are making differences in lives. We've got veterans coming up to us, and we're able to help them, in part because you guys are getting us the funds that we need. If you want to participate, you want to donate your time, money, whatever it's going to be, let's talk. We'll get it done. And I look forward to talking to all of you. All right, everybody, here comes John Davidson.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, this is John Davidson. You're watching the Break It Down show.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hey, if there was ever a man who needed no introduction, that man is John Davidson. He's been in our lives for many decades, and but we'll give you an introduction anyway. Here's one of my favorite things about John Davidson. He's a singer, songwriter, was a recording artist for many years, still is, and still regales live audiences, hopefully coming back from COVID, more and more of those, with his vocal stylings and guitar playing. He also, when we were kids, was the host of a show called That's Incredible that we loved. It was a very highly rated show, and many iconic things came from there, cultural references, etc. And one of my favorite things was that you were on the Hollywood Squares for many years. And boy, did you spin tales of, you really got people going on that show, and that was always fun. Best of all was when you would spin a tall tale and somebody would just think, you know what, that is so involved and so detailed it can't possibly not be true. And you'd get them. And then they'd come back to you and you'd get them again.
Well, that was when Peter Marshall was hosting. Of course, he was the great host of Hollywood Squares. Peter Marshall was the first host. I became host of the show in 86 through 92. And then, of course, Tom Bergeron was the third host about 5-7 years ago. But Hollywood Squares is a proven formula. You get that you must know one of those stars up there at least. You get 9 people together, and they give everybody a joke. You don't know the question, you don't know the answer, but they give you a joke. And and Paul Lynde was the center square when I was guesting. my center square was Joan Rivers, and Tom Bergeron's center square was Whoopi Goldberg. But they gave me a joke when I was guesting, and I just couldn't see I could tell a punchline to a joke without knowing what the setup is. So I began to pretend that I knew everything, that I was an expert on everything. And so I just make up stupid stuff, like a guy named Professor Irwin Corey built a career on being an expert on absolutely nothing. So that was fun. That was fun. I'm glad you watched.
Yeah. Well, you also hosted a variety show called the John Davidson Show, and we've talked about this, but for our listeners and viewers, you hosted a show that was a daytime show, afternoon show, and for those of us who used to run home from school to get home in time to catch the musical number, you'd open up with a musical number, and you did this every day. So you had to arrange and rehearse and execute a musical number. You did a lot of classics, you did a lot of standards, but you did a lot of timely stuff too. And that in itself is an undertaking. And then after that, you hosted a whole hour-long show. How was that?
I've had this very confusing career, Pete. Is he a host? Is he a singer? Is he an actor? Is he a game show host? Is he a variety show host? I started on Broadway. You know, I started on Broadway playing in a revival of Oklahoma. I played Curly, and then came back to do to do State Fair, original musical, and so I've been all over the place. And so it's confusing to people when they say, "Well, John Davidson's appearing tonight." So what is he going to play? Hollywood Square? Is he going to play?
Could be anything.
Tic-tac-toe, or is he going to show That's Incredible, something weird? But no, I love singing, especially with my guitar, and I write a lot of original tunes, and I just wrote a new opener. See, I'm opening a new venue here in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
Yes.
July 2nd, I'm going to do Friday and Saturday nights all the way through Halloween, then present other people on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But I wrote an opener for Club Sandwich. Well, I bet you're probably wondering what I'm gonna do tonight. Yeah, fella has to holler when he's feeling all right. See, I finally busted out. Yeah, I came out. No, not that way. I was trapped in your TV. Now I'm here to tell you what you're doing to me. You drive me crazy. I'm about to go insane. Well, the fact that you showed up and I don't even know your name. I know you don't expect to hear a medley of my hits. You just came to see me, and that's as good as it gets. And it's a verse after verse like that. But it's a really fun opener and gets us going. Mostly when I sing are love songs, but I do a lot of comedy songs as well.
Yeah. Would you say that that's your identity above all of the other things that you do? Because you're right. You might juggle. You might ride a unicycle in. You might do any number of things, but that you're a singer-songwriter first.
Well, yeah. I don't know whether people know that I write songs, but I write personal things. I wrote a song to my wife. This was inspired by a time when we were not touchy-feely as much as we had been. I've been married for 38 years, and so a marriage goes through ups and downs. Sometimes you lose the touchy-feely. And,
even for John Davidson, come on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My wife gets pretty over me at times, and so this is a guy trying to get lucky with his wife is really what it is. But it's a love song to my wife. See, I still wanna be your Superman in my saggy blue suit and my faded old red wrinkled cape. You used to fly with me till morning. Remember how we shared the great escape. You are still my fairest mate. In all my fantasies, I am your aging action hero. How come you don't fly away with me? It goes on and on like that, but it's a love song to my wife.
That's very sweet. I want, and I'm sure that song has a happy ending.
It does, yeah.
And I mean that in all the entendres, double and otherwise.
Yeah.
I want to point out that, yes, you're a singer-songwriter, and I love it. When we were first, before we even got live, before I'd even jumped in the studio, John was already in the green room playing the guitar and singing to himself. Like, he really is made from music and everything. But you're not a bad host. Yeah, it's your hobby. Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather play the guitar and sing than anything. I mean, that's what I do. I just love it, and that's why I'm doing Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire, because I love singing. We only have 35 seats in Club Sandwich. It's very small.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like singing in my living room, and so no one is more than like 20 feet away from me, and I just love it. I love communicating with people and moving them in some way, either to laughter or tears or inspiration or to want to fall in love and all that. And so I love moving people. I think art, unless art is received, then it's not worth anything at all. But people would disagree with me. Some people think art can be done for its own sake. But I think the artistry of a singing entertainer is when you touch people. And if you don't touch people, then you're just kind of playing with yourself,
So let me ask you this then, because you got your venue, not even 50 people there, but you've also sat in Johnny Carson's chair, I don't know, 80 plus times. And that's probably the biggest stage. I mean, because given the time and how many people watched Carson, I mean, that's as big as it gets. And you stare across at whoever it's going to be, Emmanuel Lewis or whoever is going to be sitting there, and you're talking to them. You're also trying to touch them. So it blows my mind to think that you could be powerful in this small venue and then also, dealing with whatever these interviews are,
But see, that's the trick. Is Dick Clark. Dick Clark produced a summer series that I did way back in the late 70s, and he said you got to talk as if you're talking to one person. On television, you look into that camera and you're really just talking to one person. You're not saying, "Well, I want to welcome you all here to the show." That's not what television is. And so I think that's why I've done pretty well in TV is because I realize that it's a very personal medium. I've never played big arenas. I mean, I've played a lot of theaters and stuff, but see, I've never had a big hit record to where I could attract thousands of people. I've just been one of the guys around who sings. I played Vegas a lot, but actually I played the Elvis showroom at the Hilton, and I filled it a couple times, but that's because I had a great opening act like Doug Henning or Jay Leno or other people that helped fill the room. But what's my point here? My point is that sitting in for Carson was always scary because you realize that Johnny's name is on the coffee cup. Johnny's name is on the pencils. Johnny's name is on everything. And you're really borrowing that seat for a little bit, but there's no question as to who owns the seat. So I love doing the Carson show, but it was very much sitting in another guy's seat. It was never my show, of course. And I think, to be honest, when they put me hosting the Tonight Show for Carson, and I did it a lot in the 70s, I was doing a series called The Girl with Something Extra, playing Sally Field's husband. This is when Sally Field was going through the transition of finding her great way when she started winning Academy Awards. She wasn't Gidget anymore. She wasn't the Flying Nun anymore. She was something in between that. She was growing, and all. It was a great time to be working with Sally Field. But it was on NBC. And so I'm sure that NBC called the producers of the Tonight Show, Fred DeCordova and Pete LaSalle, and said, Davidson is on The Girl with Something Extra on NBC, and we wish you'd use him as a guest host. I think that's how I got on. But then they realized that I could do it, and so I did it a lot. Yeah,
That's not bad. Not a bad way to make an entrance to a show and then keep it. Was there a favorite guest that you had in all the times that you hosted the Tonight Show?
Oh, any talk show or even on Hollywood Squares, they always wanted Betty White, somebody with a twinkle in their eye, or you want people that show up to play the game. Some of the big stars don't always play the game. They're there to promote something or they're afraid to look silly or to open themselves up. So you want, I never had Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks is just so open and so honest. That's the kind of person you want on a talk show, or not necessarily funny, but just open, just giving. And so many of the major stars are so giving and so open and so ready to say, what the heck? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Who are you still friends with?
It's an interesting thing. I'm friends with people probably outside of show business more than in. Give you an example of that. I worked with Kenny Rogers a couple times, and I set out to be a buddy with Kenny. And I quickly realized that Kenny he's gone now, of course, and we all miss him. But he's invited me to his ranch in Georgia, and then to his mansion in Beverly Hills or in LA when he was married to Marianne. And it was hard to get really close to Kenny Rogers. And he was a great guy, but I found that maybe he didn't need John Davidson as a buddy. Maybe he had enough buddies. So I think I was real close with Fran Tarkington on That's Incredible. Fran Tarkington and I and Kathy Lee Crosby. And Fran and I were both preachers' kids. Our dad was most preachers who were both ministers. So when preachers' kids get together, they try to be as foul and as gross as they can, right? So that you understand that they're not goody-goody. And
yeah.
So we used to try to gross each other out with just the grossest jokes you could do. And
I call it the aristocrats.
Yeah. So yeah, Fran and I were very close. He's just a great guy, an incredibly sharp businessman, a business coach. He's an entrepreneur. He's got like 7 companies. And he's sharp as a tack, even though he was a quarterback, a football player. But man, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow. How about musically? Who have you collaborated with musically that we might be surprised to hear that you ever worked with?
I did several guest shots with the Carpenters on their specials.
Oh.
And they taught me a lot about recording, man. Richard and Karen Carpenter were meticulous. I mean, everything had to be so on key and in rhythm. And they were, if you listen to the Carpenters recordings,
yeah,
they are just spot on. They're some of the best produced records there are.
Pure and warm.
They insisted that it be exactly, it's exactly right. And so I had a lot to learn about recording. I didn't, that's the one area that of course, a lot of areas I've not spent enough time at it, but I never had a hit record. Why? Because I never spent enough time in the studio. I don't really like being in the studio, but I learned from Karen Carpenter and Richard that you got to spend a lot of time just getting it right. I put out some records, but I'm an album seller a little bit, but I mean, I never had a Please Release Me like Engelbert, or It's Not Unusual like Tom Jones, or Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree like Tony Orlando. And so it's I wish I'd spent more time in the studio, but I did learn a lot by working with Karen and Richard Carpenter.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course, I'm a drummer, so I love Karen Carpenter. And Richard Carpenter was, he was like the tactical guy. He was the guy who knew it all. And they don't get enough props as much as they get props. I don't think they get enough. In your musical journey, as you continue it, are you looking forward to playing places outside of Sandwich, New Hampshire? Are you going to hit the road anytime soon? Are you playing any other joints?
I've done I've played Vegas for years, and I've played Atlantic City and all the major places, and I enjoy performing in New England, and let's face it, I'm not the hottest thing around anymore, and so I love having a full house, and so if you only have 6 seats, you can be sold out,
Yeah.
So I like playing smaller venues, and I like the intimacy of it, and that's just where my career is now, to play smaller places, usually between 100 and 200 people, like that. I do shows all over the United States, but I don't mean to put myself down so much, but I'm 79. I'm going to be 80 in December, and I still have my hair. Hair I got, but hair is the only thing my body can still produce. My hair just keeps growing. I'm like an albino chia pet. And my wife said, "Why don't you cut your hair? You look silly." I said, "Honey, I don't want to look. I'm going to be 80, and I don't want to look like an old man." She said, "Great, now you look like an old woman." That was a joke.
You can get a break at home. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm the same way. I still have it. I'm going to let it go. And when it starts to leave me, then we'll have that conversation. But while I still got it, I gotta let it happen.
Yeah.
I sort of half wanted you to say, from back in That's Incredible days, I still keep in touch with the Yogi Kudu. And I'm still friends with the guy who jumped over the Lotus.
And don't forget about the guy that caught a bullet in his mouth. That guy too.
That's right. You got to realize that in most of now I met the Yogi Kudu. What was his Yogi? I forget. Yeah. The guy who got inside the plastic box.
Yeah.
He did come into the studio. I did meet him, although he was pretty much concentrated on. It was an amazing thing that he did. Mm-hmm. Some of the acts we met, we had Tiger Woods when Tiger Woods was like 5 years old, but Fran Tarkington did the interview because he's an athlete, and
that made sense.
Tiger was a golfer, and Kathy Lee did a lot of the things, and I did some interviews with other people, but most of what we did was to rely on this incredible staff to put together all this footage, and we would say, "Here's a story for you," and we would, from the studio, we would introduce these segments, and you didn't realize that these were done before we ever got to the studio. So I didn't. The guy who caught the bullet in his mouth, I did. He was in the studio, and that was terrifying what he did. On That's Incredible, we did have some people that really tried to fool us. I mean, they said basically they were magicians, and they said it was
illusionists.
They said it was ESP, or that they really had magical powers, and it was phony. One gal had a note from her doctor saying that she probably had the ability to read people's minds. What kind of a doctor would even say that? So there were some charlatans, is that the word? There were some fakers on Incredible, and every time we came across them, we would call it out, and we would say, "What do you think? I think this is not real. What do you think?" But That's Incredible was at its best moments when it celebrated human triumph over mental and physical obstacles. When people would go the extra mile, or do something that a paraplegic who could swim or whatever, just great stories of human triumph. So it was a great bring you to tears at times of what people could accomplish.
Yeah.
That show really has the ability to stick out in our culture. Like John talks about the Yogi. I remember being wrapped and watching that guy in the box for you guys put him in the box. He was there for like half of the show, and you're like, how's he even going to get out of this thing? And he's unfolding himself out through the box, And then John mentioned the guy that jumped over the Countach. That guy hit his foot on the front car, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And the guy that caught a bit of the bullet in his mouth. I mean, there's some failure.
Well, the guy that said he could jump over a car coming straight at him, a speaker, he very much wanted to be on That's Incredible on television. And after he did it and he hurt his foot doing it, I mean, maybe I got this. I think he tried to sue That's Incredible.
What? Oh, come on.
Yes, I think so. Now I might be spreading a rumor, but I think he was one of the people that were suing us for encouraging him to do that. Where this guy said he could do it, and he couldn't do it. So I mean, you got a lot of people that will jump out of windows or jump through fire to be on TV. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you, Pete. I would do most anything to get on your show. You know.
We're going to need you to jump over this car, John. Years ago, I was on a film ranch, and one of the other things shooting on this film ranch at the time was the show Fear Factor. And there were a group of young stuntmen who were a lot of fun to be around, and they, were happy to pal around with us between takes and stuff while they were doing setup things. And, so I was inquisitive. I always wanted to be a stuntman when I was a kid. So I was asking a lot of questions about what they were doing, and they would do all the stunts.
I did too.
Yeah. Before everybody, before the stuff that we saw people do on that show, they of course had to test the riggings and all that stuff. And they would do that with stuntmen. But there was one guy there, and he was an older guy. And so eventually you could see the reverence that everybody had for this older guy. So I had to ask him, like, what do you do, man? You clearly have the command of everybody here. You're the chief. What is it you do? And he said, I'm the guy who eats everything. So before they asked any civilian to eat something on the show, it had to pass through his system first. And I asked him, so is there anything that didn't make the show? And he said, oh yeah, all the time. So God only knows what he put himself through, and he should have been on That's Incredible. So anyway, that was a quick sidebar. How about Uri Geller, the guy who bent the spoon with his brainwaves? What was that about?
Oh, he's a magician. It's you can't do that. You can't. Yeah. No, he's a magician. I think we had him on, and I think we debunked. Or we had a guy that tried to do like Uri Geller type stuff, and we debunked it. We did a lot of ghost stories. The human mind, the human imagination is so. We're all so fearful, and so we love to believe that there are ghosts and phantoms, and I'm not religious at all for the same reason. I'm very much a skeptic, and you got to go to science and say, come on, is this, can people really walk on water? And, whatever. Let's not get into religion. Okay. But I think there's so many people. I mean, magic, magicians used to go into a small town, and they would make you think that they had some power that was given to them by some god or some supernatural thing, and they didn't. Yeah. People, we're just humans, and you got to live by science, and that's one of the things That's Incredible was trying to say.
And you'll have this power too if you just buy some of this snake oil.
So, John, we had Andy Summers from The Police on the show a while back, and he said he was still getting better at playing the guitar, faster, finding more efficiency, and just like growing as a player. I mean, this is, he's, I don't know, probably 75 at the time when we talked to him.
Yeah.
Same thing for you? Are you still growing as a guitar player, or
no,
where's the growth at?
I'll say the way I've grown is to find ways to do guitar easily. I'm not a great guitar player. I simply play to accompany myself. I very rarely do any riffs. Glenn Campbell was a great guitar player. I'm not. I play chords and things to enhance my storytelling and my vocals. Where I've grown is as a vocal artist. I worked on breathing and worked on trying to keep my voice in shape from my Broadway days. And so I think where I've grown is to make guitar so simple and easy that I don't have to think about it. I'm really thinking about the lyric. I'm when I'm performing, I'm maybe 2% of the time thinking about what my left hand and right hand are doing. As a matter of fact, I'm so involved in the song that I often forget what key I'm in. And I think, well, now this is the end of the phrase, so it must go back to do, or, to what key it is. But where do I go? Because I'm lost in the lyric. I'm a singer-songwriter storyteller.
That's the mark of a great storyteller.
And I use the guitar to tell stories. Yeah.
All right. That's great. Using the guitar as a tool to tell stories, there are a lot of great guitar players, and we love them. And we've been fortunate to have several of them on the show. That's the connection with people.
Pete, that you cut out there. Say that again.
I was going to say, this is John. Pete's the other guy. I'm other John. For the purposes of this episode. But the connection that you'd make with people comes from that exactly. You're telling the story, and the guitar is a tool to tell the story.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
You see, my little screen here on my camera, I can't really see which one of you is talking. I can't.
I'm the good-looking one in the little screen.
Yes.
I'm the one who talks when Pete's hand is moving, but not his mouth.
Yes, there you are. Yes.
All right. So, as a storyteller, when you have, go ahead, Pete.
No, I was just saying that I've got a hat on. John doesn't have a hat on, so that helps.
I got you.
Go ahead, John.
Let's rewind though to your storytelling ways, because I imagine that because of your background as a performer, all of that was a vehicle to tell a story. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I think that's what every art form is doing, isn't it? I think even a solo musician is telling a story in a different way. But yeah, I started on Broadway, where I literally was telling a story. I was usually the good guy. I usually got the girl at the end of every show that I did. I was lucky that way, it's all about storytelling. Yeah, it's important to know what the story is of everything that you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's face it, you're the good-looking guy with the strong chin who can hit his mark and hit the note. So that's the good guy. Did you ever have a desire to play against type, or was that just so much fun that you didn't mind because you always got the girl at the end?
It's a good question, John. I think we all use whatever our looks are to get work. If you look a little different, a little kooky, I think then you go after the kooky roles. And if you look like, and I did when I first started, I looked like the boy next door and just peanut butter and jam, I looked like Donny Osmond, when I first started, so you gotta work with whatever you have to get a job, and I seldom went against that. I did. I was looking for offbeat roles, and so on the streets of San Francisco, I got a part playing a female impersonator.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was a killer. I was a murderer. I actually stabbed the guys through the heart with my hat pin, but I couldn't stop myself from becoming the woman. It was just a weird role with Carl Malden and Michael Douglas on the streets of San Francisco. It got a lot of recognition, and it was really fun, but I knew that I wasn't destined to do a lot of transvestites.
Okay, maybe not. But I think that despite your charm and good looks, word got out that you were a preacher's kid and an absolute heathen.
Yeah, I think even though I'm not religious, I didn't. People found out that both my parents are ministers, and I think people just sort of assumed that I was more religious than I was. And I was a philosophy major for a year in college at Denison University in Ohio before I got into theater arts. And as a philosophy major, I took a course in comparative religions of the world and a course in Logic 101. And it just, that pretty much really made me a skeptic and did away with the religion that my folks had. And so I've wrestled with religion for years. And it's only been in the last 10 years that I've actually come out and said that I'm secular. And I joined a group called Openly Secular. And so I've wrestled with religion a lot. Religion is a force to be reckoned with, and I've tried to reckon with it. You know.
What happens at gatherings of Openly Secular?
There is no gathering. It's
okay.
Just it's a thing that it's all online, and I went to a Reason rally in Washington D.C. On my website, there's a video of me speaking at the Reason rally in near the Washington Monument in D.C. Yeah, so there are those rallies a couple times a year. I've been to those, and it's just people. The main thing is that you try to get religion out of government, so that we really it's the separation of church and state, so that we I think that's the way it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to shout out a couple of our power viewers, let's call them, because they're dedicated and loyal viewers. First is Doug Marcos, who is not only a power listener, but he's a guitar player in my band. And he went to theology school to be enlightened the way that you were. And studied philosophy and realized that, hey, in order to have faith, you have to question it. And then when he questioned faith, he came up with some conclusions that he can very easily live with. The other guy I want to shout out is Daryl Mcintosh, who we hope is watching live. He lives in New Hampshire. We grew up in the same hometown in California. And he, after high school, headed east to go to Berklee College of Music. And so now he lives in New Hampshire. He stayed on the East Coast afterwards. So I just want to say hi to Daryl. As you are, as you continue to entertain people in these little pockets, in these little theaters where you have these intimate shows, what does your audience look like? Do you have a lot of longtime fans who have stayed with you, or are people coming around and realizing what an entertainer you are?
It's a combination. I think because I'm 79, I think my audience that saw me on That's Incredible or Hollywood Squares or my own show or taking over for Johnny Carson or hosting beauty pageants and stuff, they missed my music. My musical career was in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And then I became a television host. And also a lot of people are surprised when I sing. So my audience that comes to see me are definitely 40 and older, and maybe 50 and older. And I'm singing to grandmas and grandpas as I am. And so I do a lot of material really for older people. Like I Still Want to Be Your Superman. That's about, older couples being romantic. I wrote a song called 60 Sucks. When I was turning 60, I wrote a song, doing all jokes about getting older and how things didn't work like they used to work. And then when I turned 70, I changed it to 70 Sucks. And now that I'm turning 80, I don't know.
60 ain't so bad.
I may call it 80 Aches. I don't know why, but they're just jokes about getting older. And I do a great country tune about giving your daughters away. I have 2 daughters, and I've given them both away. This terrible thing that a father has to do. I'm saying all this because really I'm singing to fathers and grandfathers and mothers and grandmothers. I mean, that's what I'm singing to. You guys are really too young for my show. You really shouldn't be there. You shouldn't come to my show.
Oh, bullshit.
No, but yeah, but I do so much comedy that I wrote a song about Rachel Maddow. I'm crazy about Rachel Maddow, and that's a very funny song.
You don't have much of a chance with her, John.
I know, and that's in the song too. Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote a song about the great questions of the world. I thought as I got older, I would have all the answers. So I wrote a song called "Why" about all the things I don't know, like why do men have nipples? How come Tarzan has no beard?
Right.
Why do bars have parking lots if I can't drink and drive? Am I the only one who finds this weird?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did Adam and Eve have navels? In the pictures of Adam and Eve, they have navels.
Yeah.
It's a funny song, but so I write a lot of comedy stuff. But I do a whole thing on fathers giving their daughter away at a wedding. We don't give our sons away.
Right.
Why do we give any child? I mean, we don't own our children. It's just it's a stupid thing. It's a tradition that I think should be done away with. But it's a great song called "I Loved Her First," written by the Osborne brothers. Osborne brothers.
There's another band that doesn't get enough credit. Those guys have sold 60 million albums. I mean, they are a hell of an act.
Yeah. Well, this song is called "I Loved Her First," and it's saying, "You be careful how you hold my girl, because I loved her first. I held her first, and there's a place in my heart that will always be hers." So, but again, that's singing to fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers, and that's really my audience, is middle age and older.
When you're going to sit down in that chair at Club Sandwich, which opens in June, and you're going to play at weekly shows, will you have a standard set list? I mean, you must know a zillion songs. So will you just are you like Frank Sinatra? You keep it a secret? And
no, I have actually 4 totally different shows that I'm going to rotate with. You're right. I've got too much material.
Wow.
I have material from variety show specials, from guest shots on all from Tony Orlando and Glenn Campbell, and all the Sonny and Cher, and all the variety shows that I've used. And I've got 12, 13 albums to pull from, and my Las Vegas shows. And so I've got so much material and so much comedy material. That comedians, Jay Leno he used to be my opening act in Vegas and Reno and Hollywood. He gave me a bunch of jokes that I'm still using actually. But so I've got all this material, and so my show is always different. When I never do the same show twice, and I love that. Keeps me alive. By the way, you said sitting on my stage. I never sit. I actually have a swing.
Attaboy.
I have a swing on my stage, a real swing.
Wow.
Because I do some songs while swinging on my swing.
all right.
I'm also a pole dancer. I do a couple numbers.
It is.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Preacher's kid. So when someone comes and sees you stand up singing and dancing, are you accompanied with anything else? Do you have a guy like John behind you on the drums, or is it just you and the guitar?
It's me and the guitar. I have a foot cymbal. You're talking about being a drummer. I have a tambourine on my left foot, and so I go chak chak chak. It's fun. And I play a banjo. I'm looking at them over here. I'm a 12-string. I have a 12-string guitar, and my 6-string Taylor. I love my Taylor 6-string. And I play ukulele sometimes. And no, it's just me. It's I maybe it's because I don't work well with other people.
You're a musical tyrant.
I don't have to call a rehearsal. I just start singing and playing. So now opening night parties mean that they're a little lonely, and it just. But for the catering for my cast parties, it's just one pizza,
Right, a sandwich.
Yeah, no. That's the name of the place. I don't serve any food at all.
What? You don't have a club at the Club Sandwich?
No, it's a club. It's called Club Sandwich because it's in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
But you should have your own signature club sandwich.
Did you not hear me, Pete, when I was saying this before? Yeah, no, I don't serve any food because we have great restaurants. Sandwich has a place called the Foothills Cafe. It's new. And we have the Corner House Inn, which is right next door. So Sandwich, New Hampshire is having a revival. The downtown area is, I wouldn't say it's jumping because it's, but it's in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. And no, I don't serve any food at all.
Well, I'm going to petition the joint next door to make a club sandwich and to create a brand so that they toast it with your face.
I think
the place next door is the Montgomery Ward's catalog store, John. They don't make sandwiches.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they can sell the panini that's got John Davidson's face blazoned on it.
I would love them to do that, but I don't know. But yeah, you can. We do packages where it's dinner and a show where you can go to the Corner House or the Foothills Cafe and have dinner and a show, and there's a discount, I guess. Yeah,
that works pretty nicely. Yeah, I think Pete's got demographic information on Sandwich, New Hampshire. How big a town are we talking about there, Pete?
More than 4 people.
Okay. 4 people. All right. Well, it's enough to pack a house for John Davidson, which nowadays happens at Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire. So if you're in the area, go there. Plan on making your trek out there in June. If you're any further away and you need to travel to Sandwich, New Hampshire, make sure you get out there in the summer. This is something that I think when artists have any kind of stage in their career that they enter where they've identified their audience, and they, when you say things like, I'm singing songs for older people, and I think there's something to the humor that comes with stages of life. There's something to the things that we relate to, and we look to people who can entertain us with all the stuff that we can relate to at the stage of life that we're in. So I think it's a noble pursuit, and that's more a comment than a question, but I hope that you'll tell us that much of your audience really appreciates that they can go see an artist who knows where they're coming from in life.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That was John, right? I think I saw your mouth move. Yeah.
Pete's pulling the string.
I think it's two things that I hope people appreciate about Club Sandwich. One is that it's so intimate. I mean, everyone is really no more than 20 feet away from me. So, I mean, we got to get COVID-19 calmed down a little bit better. So I hope COVID-19 is calmed down by then and everybody gets vaccinated. It's very important to get vaccinated. But so it's this intimacy that you won't find with anybody else that you might have seen on TV. It's the most intimate place I think you can go to. And all my seats are couches and love seats. It's not regular.
Oh,
seats.
Yeah.
They're couches. And so people can sleep very well during my show. They just nod off. But the second thing is that I am 79. I'm singing about with that outlook on life, and I'm talking to people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I like that. I'm singing to people my age and maybe a little younger, but I like it. I mean, we don't make fun of people in their 20s when they come to the show. We don't put them down, but it's really for people probably 40 and older.
I think that you're singing to the disposable income crowd. So you've got a great demographic that you're serving.
What does that mean?
Well, folks who are at a vintage age don't have to pay for kids living. Well, maybe they do nowadays. A lot of us have adult kids in the house. But they have more money to spend. Yeah, exactly.
They can buy my T-shirt.
Yeah.
Buy the T-shirts. Go to johndavidson.com. Support the website. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, after all these years of doing all the things you've done, you're such an agreeable and wonderful dude. How have you managed to keep from being jaded?
Look at the Club Sandwich T-shirt.
I'm showing you my T-shirts.
We are at Club Sandwich, by the way. That's where John Davidson is right now. We are at Club Sandwich.
By the way, this is the showroom.
Oh, come on. Look at that joint. We've been at Club Sandwich all this time just now getting around to rotating and showing us the place.
Yes.
Look at that.
And I have a rear projection screen, so I can any of my songs. I can be walking through the woods or any place in New Hampshire. I've got scenes from all over New Hampshire, and here's all the stuff that I've done is on the wall. Can you see?
Yeah, we can.
A lot of posters. Well, let me come over here. I'll show you. I've never done an interview like this. These are my blow-up dolls.
Well, we knew it would come to that at some point.
No. Let me explain. They used to be singers in my show. There used to be 3 of them, but one of them leaked, and when
so she
leaked,
had to go.
She had to go. She started to get wrinkles, and so I hang them on the wall now. But I have a harmonizer, so when I sing harmony with myself, it's the blow-up dolls. This is my rhinestone pink guitar. I wrote a song called Rhinestone Pink Guitar. This is my John Davidson dummy that is a dummy of me because at one point, for some stupid reason, I thought, I'll be a ventriloquist. Turns out it's very hard to do that. And this
was a phase, everybody.
This is some of my costume. This is my Hollywood Squares jacket.
Oh yeah.
This is my That's Incredible jacket.
Satin.
This is a rock and roll medley jacket I wore in Vegas. This is I wore this playing Harold Hill in Music Man. This is my James Brown cape that I used to.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I used to do a James Brown number and put on the cape. It was crazy.
Did you really?
Yes, but so these are my couches. You see, you can sit on couches, and we're socially distanced, and so it's that's
Club Sandwich is the barn out back at John Davidson's house.
It is a barn. It's a small barn in downtown Sandwich, and yeah. Anyway, all right.
Well, that was cool. Thank you for the tour.
Yeah.
Hey, how about doing something there with a guest artist rolling through town? Have you done any of that?
Well, that's what I'm doing. So I'm singing every Friday and Saturday night, but Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to have some of the people on national tours because midweek it's hard for some artists to get shows Wednesday and Thursday.
Sure.
And so I bring them in. But they don't make a lot of money because we only have 35, 40 seats. So you got to get people that just love to work. Fortunately, so many artists are just dying to work because they have. Yeah. So, but they got to be willing to take less money because it's just not a. It's
kind of joint it is.
There's not enough seats.
Yeah. This is a promotional kind of gig where you can get really close to fans and give them something to really appreciate. So I hope a lot of people are going to take advantage of their opportunity to do that with your crowd in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
Well, if anybody wants to find out who's working at Club Sandwich, it's all on johndavidson.com. Our lineup is on johndavidson.com for all through July and August and September. We don't have any booked in October yet, but that's where
the year is still young.
That's where you can find out who's playing here and when and showtime and all that is johndavidson.com.
All right.
Super easy. I don't have any more questions for you. Yeah, no problem. I know John might, but for sure I want you to close us out with a song too. But John, do you have any more questions?
Do I have any more?
No, I could do this all day, but let's let John sing a song and I'll save questions so that he'll come back on with us later on in the year and we can try and get his October booked out.
No, it'll be booked out. It's just that we haven't done it. I'm trying to think. What am I going to sing for you? So I'll sing. This is my 70s suck song. I never had a problem with the ladies. I was quite a hunk. There was no doubt. I'd flash my dimples, every heart would melt. My pecs were firm, my body svelte. But now my sorry ass sets are sagging south. I'm in my 70s. Where did all my muscles go? I'm in my 70s. I can't get my blood to flow. The girls used to green. They used to call me a fox. Now they call me Grandpa, and I'm wearing orthopedic socks because I'm in my 70s. My man boobs are flopping. That's all I need to do.
Come on. And of course, it was a blues number. Woo.
Yeah, right? But I mean, I also sing pretty songs. Then I go, hello. Yes. I don't know. I also sing a lot of ballads and stuff, and some serious songs. It isn't all just fooling around, but I'm trying to entertain you guys.
Yeah.
Thoroughly accomplished the entertainment part. I can't stop smiling. It's so great.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No,
Yeah,
our
thanks for
pleasure.
joining
Let's do it again. And John, we got to find a way to get out to New Hampshire and see John Davidson play live.
We do. Yes, we do.
All right.
All right,
Thanks for having me. Are we saying goodbye?
I think
Yeah,
we
we'll
are.
say goodbye, but hang out for a minute.
You must
hang on
have
one
a
second.
bigger act.